You said some things that were like so impactful that are still relevant today.
I hope so,
right?
yeah.
Absolutely. So some of these key talking points that you've probably delivered over and over that have just like always stuck with me. And, you know, like you say a lot of things, like people know what you look like, right? When you're talking about video.
Yep.
There's so many. What are some of the main pillar talking points that you've kind of...
So the one you're talking about is, I tell people when it comes to video and doing video, because everybody is, you know, trying to be, perfect and trying to look perfect and trying to connection over perfection. Like that's it. Like at the end of the day, if you're not doing video because you're afraid of how you look and sound, while we're having this conversation, you better have a bag over your head because I can see you. Yeah. And it didn't keep you from having this conversation, right? And then when you look at the pillars of really just our program, I talk about visibility trumps ability, you know, the idea that the best isn't always what wins. It's the one who's actually there, the one who's an option. That's 100% of the time the one that always wins. And in real estate, that's relevant because, you know, we're people are like, oh, I want more listings. There's low inventory. There's not low inventory. There's high demand. There were 6.125 million sales last year. That was the highest number in 15 years. How do you have a record number of sales with low inventory? You know who complains about inventory? People who don't have the listings. Yeah. You know who loves inventory right now? People who have the listings, right? It's marry the principle, date the model. Well, what does that mean, right? And I've been saying this for years and I'll keep saying it. Principles are tried and true, right? The idea of getting in front of a client at the time they need you before someone else does, your competitor does, will always be true, right? So you marry that. That's there. But you date the model, right? And so it's just a fun way of saying date the model, date the strategy. Because when I got into the industry,
A&B test.
Hey, you're calling the phone book,
right?
Saying I got buyers and whatever. That strategy has switched. But what were you trying to do back then? You were trying to get in front of someone at the time they needed you before a competitor, right? And so today's world, that principle still, it's there. We're married to it or whatever. But the strategies constantly change. And so take that same principle of what I'm talking about and pull that forward to today. I've been talking that principle for years, but now I tell people, hey, the quickest way to underperform on your potential is to get romantic about how you got here, right? So the quickest way to underperform on your potential is to get romantic about how you got here. It's another way of saying it, right? Yeah. It's like, well, that's always worked. Well, I always just put, things on Craigslist and then I get 20 calls. Well, you got romantic about how you got here, right? That's where, as much as we all hate change, and we do, it sucks. Yeah, we don't like when we go into a hotel and the toilet paper's coming out the bottom instead of the top. Like, we hate change, right? But at the end of the day, if you get romantic about what got you here today, it's ultimately what keeps you from going to the next place.
Yeah.